Hey, thanks for watching this quick video. I'm Coach Sless along with Coach Cliff, wherever he's at. We're from Anytime Fitness, and today in this video, we're going to be talking about foam rolling. Yeah, foam rolling! Alright guys, so foam rolling is actually called self-myofascial release. It's a type of stretching that you can do to yourself, and it's kind of like a deep tissue massage, right? Cliff, what are some of the benefits of it?
So one of the things you're going to get is you're going to get increased flexibility as you roll over that. Basically what that self-myofascial release is doing is if you have tightness or a knot in a muscle, you're forcing that muscle to relax and ease out. So you're actually going to have better range of motion because of that. You're going to be more flexible because of the relaxation of the muscle.
Definitely. It's also going to help improve your muscles' recovery. So when you're working out hard, you have that soreness, that tightness, it's going to help get rid of that.
And on top of that, one of the other things is since you're moving better, you're kind of getting that improved range of motion, your injury prevention is going to be a lot better. You're not going to have as much overactive or underactive muscles because you're kind of getting things back out to where they need to be. So you're less likely to hurt yourself doing an exercise afterwards.
Definitely, and like Cliff said, building onto that, it's going to improve your overall range of motion. So you're going to be able to recruit your muscles more, and they're going to be more functional for you.
Best part is, too, for some of those people worried about the looks, now if you have any areas where you have problems with cellulite, over time that's going to help smooth that out. It's not going to go away altogether, but you're definitely going to buff some of that out.
You're going to see a decrease for sure.
So some of the guidelines for foam rolling, especially if you're going to do it before a workout, you also want to do it before you do your dynamic or static stretching. One of the reasons is because after you foam roll, it's going to improve the ability for that muscle to lengthen. So you're getting more out of your dynamic or your static stretching. You're going to have a little bit better time and more relaxed for it. It's going to help prepare you for the actual workout more, doing it before you're stretching.
Definitely. Now, the way to do this is you want to start at the top of the insertion of the muscle and go slow until you find a tender spot. Now, once you have that tender spot, Cliff, what do they do?
You want to hold that area, you want to continue rolling over that until you feel that pain start to alleviate, that tension kind of go out of there. You want to spend at least 30 seconds on each muscle group, but if you find an area that you definitely have a knot or an overactive muscle in, you want to spend, like I said, at least 30 seconds up to 90 seconds rolling over that area until you really feel that start to relax.
Definitely. And one thing that I do personally is once I find the tender spot and I let it relax a little bit, I'll slowly roll back and forth, and then I'll continue on throughout that muscle group. Now, Cliff, let's hop down real quick, and I want to explain what we should be doing. So Cliff's going to roll his quads, right? So we're going to start right at the top of the knee, right at the insertion. He's going to go nice and slow, find that tender spot. Now, one other thing we can do here, we want to experiment with it a little bit and hit every part. Really feel how the foam roller is affecting that muscle group.
Quads especially, because this is one of the largest muscle groups we have. I mean, quadricep, we have 4 heads to it. So there's a lot of different angles to the muscle. A lot of people will start and just get the top of the leg here, but one thing I like to do, I know this is kind of a suggestive pose, but I like to take my one outside leg and I like to dip in and really just pull the outside of my quad right across the foam roller nice and slow right here, and take at least 4 or 5 trips along the outside, as well as transitioning over to the top of the quad and then just switching legs and doing the same thing. A little bit more in depth here with the quads, just going off the example earlier. So Tyler's going to go ahead and start rolling those out for us. And now if you look, he's just going nice and slow over top of the quad, which is the biggest area a lot of people like to get. He's found that tender spot, like we said, spending at least 30 to 90 seconds just kind of going over that till that relaxes. Now once he's done on there, there's a couple other areas in the quad that we want to hit. We want to go along the inside of the leg here. There's an area that we often refer to as the teardrop because of the shape that it makes when it wraps around the knee. That area is going to be a big one to hit. So what you actually want to do is you want to kind of come out to the side, get one leg at a time, and you just want to go right along the inside of that leg there, getting that part where it wraps around the knee. And after he's done going over that way, we have other areas too. We can roll over to the side and we can hit the outside of that quad as well. Going down. Now for a lot of people, this is going to be the most painful area for them in their quads. Typically we carry a lot of tightness along the outside of that leg there, especially in our legs. You want to go right up there towards the hip. Right back down towards the knee, nice and slow, just like Tyler's doing. Like I said earlier, a lot of people miss these outside parts of the leg, and we typically just get the top part of the leg. And we're going to miss a lot of these areas along the outside that help contribute to a lot of our leg exercises. So you want to make sure you're really getting the bulk of the leg you're not missing anything by just skipping along.
All right, guys, going right along with that, you can also look at the IT band. So do that pretty much just the side of your thigh. You want to show that real quick? So right here again, starting from right from the insertion all the way up. This is also help with the sciatic nerve a little bit here. If you're doing a lot of sitting and things like that, and you have sciatic nerve problems, be a little bit careful with this one because it is going to hurt. But this will help you with that, so stretch that out. Cliff, how's that feel?
Not great.
Not great.
In a good way. Why don't we go ahead and go into the glutes? A lot of people don't think about the glutes, and I know for some people when you start off, it's a weird area to roll. Some of us aren't blessed with a lot of that area to roll, if you know what I mean. We don't have a lot of that packet back there. But you want to go right over top of the glute. Now the glute actually plays an important role in a lot of our exercises, especially if you're somebody that's doing a lot of squats, deadlifts, hip presses, from the floor. The glutes are a very important muscle. We get a lot of strength in our leg exercises from them. So if they're underactive, underdeveloped, tight, that's really going to impact the quality of the workout you're doing, especially on leg day. If you're not used to doing this, try just giving yourself some good glute rolls on the foam roller before your workout, a little bit more stretches for them, and see if that makes a difference in your squat next time you're coming into the workout. Todd, how's that feel on the glute?
They feel great, but by now I'm used to it. You know what I mean? That's the other thing too here with a lot of this, especially if you're really tight or you really have a lot of knots, it's gonna hurt. But you fight through it, and eventually that pain dissipates.
Ty, you might have a better ability to explain this right now where you're on there, but you're pretty much starting at about the top of the leg and rolling up like you're coming up towards the low back.
Correct. So I'm starting right at the end of the ham, right where they connect into, rolling all the way up. Obviously, my knee is up, and I'm coming to the side. Now, what I also like to do is I like to hit that right on the side here, right where it goes into the hips, just because that's always tight for me. You know what I mean? And it hinders me when I do my squats if my hips are really tight. So I really focus on this and using those hips using this to work my hips.
And Ty, you actually brought up a good point that I don't think we thought of before on here. But that's the importance of really making sure that full weight is on there. That mentioning of getting that leg crossed over the knee. A lot of times when people do a lot of foam rolling, we're not putting as much pressure as we can on there. And I understand if you're new to it, and it is going to be uncomfortable the first time you roll, you might see some people kind of just easing into it, but it's important after you ease into it for a while to really work on getting more of that body weight, more of that pressure on there. Because the deeper in you get, the more benefit you're going to get out of it. If you're just going over really lightly and you're not feeling a lot while you're doing it, you might want to step it up a little bit more, put more of your weight on the foam roller.
Over is what, at least for the both of us, is the most uncomfortable area to foam roll over, and what's probably uncomfortable for most people out there. How many people typically suffer from really tight calves?
I would say probably 90% of the people that we see have super tight, overactive calves.
If you're someone that suffers from things like shin splints a lot when you run, one of the issues you might actually be suffering from is a tight calf. So if you're a person that suffers from those, maybe foam rolling them out before running can actually help alleviate some of those issues.
So now one thing before I get started, I'm not going to do my full leg here, right? I'm just going right to where the calf actually starts, inserts, and coming up right before my knee. Why do we do that, Cliff?
You never want to foam roll over bone or joints. You want to keep that right there in the meaty part of the muscle. So you never want to roll directly over the ankle. You want to keep that right above where that insertion in the leg is, like Tyler was saying, and right before you get to the back of the knee. Trust me, those will not feel good. And so right now you'll see he's got one leg crossed over the other, which is good. One of the things I was talking about earlier, a lot of times when we see people start with calves, they want to put both legs up on the foam roller and just kind of move them back and forth. You really want to get that pressure on there, especially with the calf. Trust me, I know it's not going to feel good, but it's just like a deep tissue massage, like we said earlier. It's going to hurt at first, but afterwards the relief is going to be worth it. So you do want to try and put as much of that pressure on there as you can.
Go ahead. Going back to squatting, one thing that I do too is I always focus on the calves because it hinders, again with the hips and the calves being tight, it hinders me getting down to the position that I want to get down, that depth that I need. And another thing that I do too is I'll hit the sides of the calves. I see a lot of people missing that, but that's where I'm super tight.
I was going to say, just as one small note too, when you're doing this, You'll notice Tyler is up on his hands in the back. He's not on the floor, so he's actually holding himself up on his hands. Now, I understand if you have wrist issues or other things that might be uncomfortable, but again, this is just to put as much weight on that as you can. Now, if you need to ease into it, kind of drop yourself down a little bit, that's okay, but you really want to make sure you're doing one leg at a time, really focusing on putting pressure on that leg.
One thing that I see a lot of people do when they're trying to do this is they'll overextend themselves, right? They'll be out here, and then they'll complain that their shoulders hurt. And obviously you're overextending yourself and putting too much pressure on your shoulders. So put your hands right beside your butt and lift up.
See how he's got a nice straight line from the wrist all the way up to the shoulder? He's not pushing himself further back. His arms aren't way out past him. He's a nice straight line there. Next up, we have the upper part of the back. Now, this is a big thing here. You want to start just from that a little bit above the middle there, all the way up. You don't want to hit the lower back. Now, reason for that being is we don't want to go directly over the spine there in the lower back, and a lot of us, especially now, we have a lot of lower back issues in America. A lot of people suffer from lower back pain. If you're one of those, you don't want to foam roll across that and aggravate it more. So we actually tell people to avoid the lower back, just stick to the upper part of it like Tyler's doing here. You'll notice he's got his his heels driven into the floor. He's got his butt up off the ground, and he's just using his legs to push himself back and forth across the foam roller there. So Tyler, how does that feel as you're going across your back?
It actually feels really good. This is one that a lot of people really like.
So if you have any issues, when you're doing rows, things like that, tightness in the back, issues during pull-ups, any of your big back movements for your workouts, this is something that you can do beforehand to really kind of help ease that out. The back is, one of our larger muscle groups in our body, and it's typically something we don't pay a lot of attention to. So this is a really good area, especially to go over, especially if you have any tightness and shoulder issues, things like that while you're working out.
Definitely. So we're going to move on to the last, since we're talking about the back, it all is inclusive in there. So, but how do we do that?
So Tyler's going to get right here on his side. The lat, if you're not familiar with, is the part of your back that actually extends out here. If you've ever flexed, it's that part they usually call the, like you're a flying squirrel. It's that wing that sticks out from your body there. So Tyler is down on his side. Again, he's up off the ground just slightly. He's using his legs to push himself back and forth across there. This is another area that for me personally, I hate foam rolling over. It's very uncomfortable for me. I carry a lot of tightness in my lats. So Tyler, how does that feel on your back?
Well, since I did back on Monday, it kind of hurts. But
Yeah.
it's good. It's a good hurt.
So,
Okay, guys, now don't do this if you have congestive heart failure,
kidney failure,
blood clots,
contagious skin conditions.
or any other prior injuries that may hinder you from doing it. Alright, y'all, thank you so much for watching this quick video. I hope it's been very informative, and if it has been informative, if you've learned a lot and it's helped you, it's probably going to help somebody else. Don't forget to share it. Also, like. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below or send us a private message. We'll help you out as much as we can. Cliff, thank you so much for joining me today, and that is it. Woo!